how to grow your business in the Vivit community. My name is Richard Bishop. I'm Head of Service Delivery for a company called Trust IV, who's an HPE partner based in Manchester in the UK. But I'm also President of the Vivit Board of Directors and one of the UK leaders. My background is that I came from the Mercury user group and so joined Vivit when it was still called OVFI. So I've been around since the last rebrand and rename, and I'm predominantly still involved in performance testing as part of my day job. Just to give you a little background on the President's role, I've got responsibility for managing Vivit for the benefit of our membership and the wider HPE software user community. Obviously, my role involves setting direction and supporting fellow board members and staff, attending our regular weekly staff and board meetings, and also acting as a contact point for HPE or any of our members when they wish to engage with us. I also want to introduce today's speakers, who are Rocky Pisto, who just about everybody worldwide who's got any involvement in HPE software or Vivit seems to know, and similarly Stephanie. Rocky is our Global Engage Coordinator and Stephanie is our Vivit Engage Director. Engage is the program that we use to engage, funnily enough, with our membership, with HPE and HPE partners. So Rocky is responsible for marketing Vivit Engage services to HPE as well as the partner network, and help to provide them exposure to the Vivit community, both locally in face-to-face meetings, globally through webinars and so on, and virtually. You can contact Rocky if you have any announcements that you'd like or any updates that you'd like to be passed on to the Vivit community. He's one of our social media champions. Stephanie is our Vivit Engagement Director, as I've already said, and she implements the strategy set by the Vivit Board of Directors and works closely with the Marketing Director to direct Vivit's operations, member programs, as well as Engage program activities, and also looking after the Vivit staff. Her goal is to ensure that all the activities of Vivit directly benefit our membership. Okay, a little bit of housekeeping for today's webinar. It's a live session at the moment, but it's being recorded, and recordings are available to all Vivit members. If you want to enlarge the presentation screen, just click the rectangle at the top right-hand corner that you should see with a little red arrow pointing to it on this slide. We want to make this as interactive as possible, and so there will be a Q&A session available, so you can ask questions through the chat pane on the webinar control panel. So if you just type your questions in and click on the Ask button, that will appear in our Q&A list, and we'll answer your question either immediately if it's very appropriate, or we'll put it into a Q&A session a little later. So if there's anything that you want to ask us, then do that there. It's also possible to ask a question and receive an answer in your native language. To do that, click the flag in the top left-hand corner of the screen, which will launch a language selector box. Then click the radio button next to your language and click Apply, and we'll respond in English. It'll be translated, and you'll see it in your own language if that's something you're interested in. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little bit of background first about Vivit. I think many of you will be members. I've seen a lot of names that I recognise in the participants list. But for those of you who aren't, just to give you some background, we're a non-profit organisation which was started by former HP customers in 1993. Originally, we were known as OVFI, Open View Forum International. Obviously, that name became less relevant with the Mercury acquisition, and so we were renamed at that point to Vivit. As the slide says, we've over 39,000 members worldwide, and that's been growing quite dramatically over recent years. And I think the other thing to note is that we are independent of HPE, and so we're unbiased, and we're basically run by other users of HPE software for you and for the wider user community. So for that reason, we are field tested and uncensored by HPE. Another thing that's interesting to note is our membership is about a 50-50 split between practitioners and hands-on users of the software and managers and people in more senior roles. So we've got a wide spread of people as part of our membership. Okay, this slide shows really that we've got very dramatic growth over recent years, and that's just the last 12 months, and we've shown a 12% increase there. I think we've got to a size now where people are joining through word of mouth, and colleagues are recommending our webinars, for example, to one another. And that has significantly grown our membership. And I think as well, moving away from the rigid face-to-face meetings, which we still do, to a more open web-based approach has certainly helped us grow our membership. Another thing that's worth noting is that, as you can see from the slide, the vast majority of our members have been users of HPE software for significant periods of time. And as you can see there, roughly half have been using HPE software for more than 5 years. So we've got a lot of practical experience within our membership. In fact, it could probably be said that we've got more than some departments of HPE where they've got new staff, for example, or maybe even partners. So since there's a lot of partners on the call, if you want to employ people, then you could look no further than our membership. Okay, the next slide is basically showing that over the last few years, as well as our growth in membership, the graph on the left-hand side shows the number of members that we have. This is showing the number of mails that go out to our membership base, and so obviously our monthly emails go out to an increasing number of people, but the orange and green show what we believe may have been duplicate email addresses in our system and emails that bounce through either out of office or because we think someone's moved on to another organisation. And we've really improved the quality of our membership database over recent years by deduplicating. So when somebody moves from one company and goes to another, we pick that up by looking for names within a particular geography who moved from one location to another, so we can prune out the old membership data. But it shows that our data is improving as we prune non-active members out from our database. And I think the other thing that it highlights is the quality of our membership data. We know who our members are and where they are, and the products that they use, or through membership of special interest groups, the products or product sets that they may be interested in. The next slide shows that we've truly global reach now. We're in over 130 countries. Each dot represents a user group. So we may have members who are in countries that actually don't have a dot, but these dots show active user groups that people have affiliated themselves to. And each dot's centered on a geographic area, so we haven't got one in the middle of Siberia. I think that's just the middle of Russia, so it should probably be a little bit more to the left if we did it on population centers. Okay, and the other thing to note is our website traffic. This has been growing over recent years. It tends to have peaks and troughs. Often peaks are associated with promotional activities that we do, where we're promoting particular webinars or things in the run-up to conferences such as Historically, Discover, and so on. But we've got pretty good figures, and we're getting over 12,000 visits per month. Okay, sorry, I've jumped a little bit too far forward there, but what we want to do is just gauge who our audience is. I know that most of you will be HPE software partners, but we're going to go into a polling question now. And if you could answer, oh, sorry, go on, Stephanie. You
no, go ahead.
So go on. Thank you, Stephanie.
Yeah, thanks, Richard. Yeah, so we'll just take a few seconds here to answer the first polling question. What is your relationship to HPE software? Select all that apply, and we're grateful to understand who is on the call today in the webinar. Helps us to gauge how we can help you guys and address any questions that come in.
Yeah, there's all kinds of partners, and that helps us, figure out what roles are partners that follow Vivit or are part of Vivit, and how they can engage the activities that we do to reach their customers. So that helps us along.
Okay. So with that said, the majority of our audience is pretty split, Rocky. It's about 30% ISV partners and 30% independent consultants. And then VAR partners next, and then HPE marketing. So great mix in the audience.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
So I'll turn it over to you, Rocky.
Okay. Well, thanks, Stephanie, and thanks, Richard, for the introduction. I never can get enough of that British accent, so enjoyed that part of the conversation. And welcome, everyone. As Richard mentioned, I am the marketing lead for the Vivit Engage program, and like many of you, I've been an HPE partner, and actually for me it's been 23 years. I was one of the original partners that got authorized to sell N&M and OM in 1993, which is the same year that the OpenView Forum became an organization. So all of this stuff is relevant and has evolved over the last 20-some years, 23 years or so, almost 24 years. So thank you for being on the call. And our goal today is to introduce you to, again, what the Vivit Engage program is for you as a partner, whether you're part of HPE or you're an independent partner. It's targeted very much towards authorized HP partners that either resell Hewlett-Packard software, Hewlett-Packard Enterprise software, or provide a solution that augments the solutions. And those are the kind of partners that we can promote and leverage within the community. So this first slide kind of introduces you to what is Vivit and the exposure that we offer to the community. So let's go to I can direct the slides. There we go. So what is it? So it's a program that's designed for HPE product marketing, field marketing, and authorized HP software partners and solution providers. Anyone that's trying to reach someone within the HP software community, we are low-hanging fruit. We have, as Richard mentioned, close to 40,000 members that make up the ecosystem, and it's made up of HP partners, customers, HP personnel, all providing a consistent place to reach the message that you're trying to provide to the community to help them grow their careers and as well as yours. So it's a great place to share case studies that you have with customer success stories, things that others can benefit. And I've been, again, involved a long time within the Vivit community, longer than many have been in the same job that they've had, I'm sure. And the thing that I've always gotten out of it as a partner is the appreciation from customers saying, thanks for bringing us together so that we can learn what other customers are doing with the technology so that I can make that step to take on that upgrade or move into these products. And from an HP marketing perspective, Vivit's just a great place to introduce prospects because there is a place for them to learn about things that really doesn't cost them anything. And so leverage that wherever possible. So if you've got a new product announcement or you're rolling out new versions, these kind of things, or you're looking at pulling together some kind of roundtable discussion or focus group, we can do these things physically, virtually, very targeted, and we'll go into some of that as we move forward. So how do we do it? How do we get you engaged to reach your target audience? And again, that target audience could be a shotgun approach where we do an e-blast to the world about a new release, or it could be a targeted campaign to Chicago if you're planning a physical event or being part of a physical event and you want people there from the Chicago region. Or if it's a virtual type activity where you want to do a webinar, you can do a global webinar. You can do a webinar targeted to a certain region like EMEA or APJ. You can do a webinar that's focused around a SIG area. So if it could be an ADM or an ITOM specific announcement or SIG event that you're planning to do that's very targeted and you want to reach these people on a semi-regular basis. And as you know, marketing only works if you continue to do it. One time is never enough to reach an audience, so it's very important. So, global campaigns, reaching all our members around the world. And again, that's 39,000 people and counting. And you saw the demographics that Richard showed. Through the Vivit Engage program, over the last 5 years, it's helped dramatically reach a lot of new customers, or a lot of customers, period, that just didn't know who Vivit was. And by doing close to 50 or 60 webinars a year, where the audience has grown and beyond where it's ever been, by reaching various areas: ITOM, ADM, security, mobility, big data. You name the area that HPE software supports, Vivit has got a community around that. We're looking at targeted campaigns, again, being very specific, whether it's by a SIG or it's by a product use, that kind of thing. Or if you want to do a targeted event, again, going to a certain community, certain town, those kind of things. These are all possible ways that the Vivit Engage program can slice and dice our database to target what may be of interest. And as I go through this presentation, if you have questions, feel free to add the questions. I want to make this as interactive as possible as well, because it's really for you. It's really for our partners to learn, how can I make this work in my organization? And one thing I want to mention, that if you're a partner selling HPE software and you get MDF funds, you can leverage the Vivit Engage program as well to market the solution. So looks like we got another one here, Steph.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Second and last polling question. Are you currently using any outside marketing services? Yes. Thinking about it? No. So real curious about that.
Yeah, and I'm a partner, and again, it's sometimes, if anything I've used in the past, I will use a list from the various organizations that provide lists, but I know from my experience, working with outside marketing organizations was not cost effective. It was very expensive. They didn't really know our business. And I think that's the beauty of what Vivit brings to the table. We understand your customers. We understand the potential of your customers to you. I don't think there's any other organization out there that understands how to market to HPE customers more than Vivit does. So,
okay. Well, believe it or not, the audience is split: 45% yes and 45% no. So,
cool.
And the rest are thinking about it. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's great. Okay, back to the presentation. So, for those of you on the call and those that have registered, you'll be getting this presentation, but I'm showing you here a list of Engage offerings that we've evolved through over the last 5 years, and they really have come about through partners saying, "Can you do this?" or "Can you create this kind of an event?" And we're pretty flexible, and if we can find a way that will generate the ROI that you're looking for, we'll put the program together. So it ranges everything from banner ads to webinars to virtual summits. That's something that's, and we'll kind of talk about this as I go through the list here. But that's just a highlight of some of the core services that we offer.
So, Rocky, we had a question come in back to you when you mentioned MDF funds. Just for clarification, so can you use MDF funds for Vivit Engage? Did I get that correctly? If you want to explain that a little bit more.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, working with your HPE folks, your partner management, they understand who Vivit is. If they don't, then they've been living under a rock. But partners have used the MDF funds that they have to leverage putting on their own webinars or working with Vivit to do a webinar or getting some kind of marketing that leads to a white paper that talks about the relationship between the partner and HPE. And again, it could be, we've done this case study on a new implementation of ADM or Load Runner or, Ops Bridge or wherever it may go at that point. So, but you have to be an authorized partner that sells HP products. If you're not, then I don't think you get MDF funds. So that should address that one. So back to this, we've in the last 6 months, we've updated our look and feel on the Vivit website. So if you haven't noticed, you'll see it now that we've added just a lot more functionality and ways to promote your message. And again, through the website, we're able to provide links, descriptions, and images of your webinars, your website that might have a white paper or an event that you have documented somewhere else to want to reach the community. And again, you see a list of the different prices for the different kind of banner ads that we have on the website. And going further, just where they're located. If you're putting on a conference, we have a dedicated conference panel here, and that works well. And then for some of these images, they'll show up on every sub-page as well. So it's not an expensive way to reach an audience. And again, it's going out to, 39,000 people that are on here all the time because they've got to come through our mechanism in order to register for events and things. So, and I think, what do we get from what I saw? 10 to 15,000 views on our website. So there is plenty of activity every month to promote whatever you're doing to try to reach people. Another, and again, here's just another banner ad promotion along the side and showing webinars. I think this is our webinar page. So this is a view of the ability to kind of create your own page. So what we've done for HPE is every time we've done a webinar, we have a place on our website for people to see recorded webinars and keep it in one place instead of trying to find them again on an HP site. So eBlast. So this is something that's very popular to our partners, and it's the ability to shotgun a message out to our community worldwide about a message. And again, we're marketing an image, a link, place for people to go to, and we can follow it, and we can follow the ROI of who's getting the message or how many people are, looking at it, clicking through it, and how many people are coming from the Vivit community to reach your particular marketing message. average 30, 40, 50 of these a year globally. Oops, didn't need to hit that one. And again, here's the banner or the dedicated landing page that really focuses on, I've always said that our partner community is part of the ecosystem. When I would do, for 16 years, I did local chapter events in Michigan, in Ohio, in Chicago. And I always wanted our partners to be part of these events because I felt that their customers were our customers or members. And their sharing their information to our community was important, just as well as the HP message that we share to keep our members informed. And this was one way of trying to bring it back to our page. So every time we did a recorded webinar, we kept it here, whether it was ITOM based or ADM based, and it was $5,000 to set it up, and then $1,000 a year to keep it maintained. And it's just a great place to be part of the community and have a dedicated page to your content within our community. So for partners thinking about that, we have the opportunity to do that for you. Deep dive sessions at conferences. So in the last 4, 5, 6, 7 years, we provided our partners with an exclusive 4-hour time slot before conferences got started to promote whatever they wanted to promote and help customers really kick the tires of some of the products before they decided, well, I'm going to buy it or I'm going to upgrade to that next version because I'm comfortable with how the product's going to work. And if you can't sell and market something and show the functionality of a product in 4 hours, then you don't belong there. But again, going forward, we don't know, what the Micro Focus world will bring, whether we'll still have the same opportunity to do this, but we have taken it virtually as well. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Just a little information about results from the 2016 Vegas Discover Conference. We had 185 register. We had 13 courses, offered 13 sessions, and besides doing some roundtable discussions at our own booth. So it's a lot of fun. You'll see an example of here, the type of sessions that were part of the deep dive sessions. And just to kind of give you a feel for what the activity was. Something that has really grown dramatically is our newsletter. The Vivit Inform newsletter used to be something that we ran maybe once a quarter at one time, but for the last 5, 6, 7 years now, it's been every month. Jill Steffen does a great job putting that together and bringing content regarding not only what's happening within the Vivit community, but HP announcements, partner announcements. You've got an article. We provide 2 lead articles at the front of the newsletter to promote whatever discussion you may want to bring to the community. It's $1,500, and it's a great way to provide some exposure with a link to lead back to your message. Something new that we offered last year, and we're starting to make this happen, that is basically offering HPE authorized partners a SIG sponsorship. So this would be a 10 to 15 minute, 10 to 20 minute, 15, 20 minute discussion about your company, what you're doing, maybe a customer success story, and it's going to our special interest groups. So, for example, in fact, we're announcing here that we've just opened the OpsBridge special interest group with the split of BSM now falling into the ADM group. We split the component there to go to an ADM or an APM SIG group, which will handle all the former BSM tools that came from Mercury. and split the ops bridge into a separate special interest group that still remains in the ITOM space. But it's just a good way to get introduced to a community. The typical size for the special interest group is 5,000 to 8,000 members. And we'll get 20 to 30 or 40 people attend a SIG event. And the other thing was taking it probably to the next step where we start having more practitioner calls. Basically, it's a call where the customers or the members of the community will ask questions about, hey, has anyone done this? Or I've run into this problem. Has anyone else had that kind of issue? How did you fix it? And again, with the SIG event sponsorship from the partner, we kick it off with your message. And then if there are questions that come through, well, how did you do that? Or how does that work? We'll take it from there, and then it kind of falls into a practitioner call. So it's I think, a less expensive. Not all partners can afford $8,000 for a full-blown recorded webinar with lead generation, but they may be able to handle the $1,500 cost to get introduced to a SIG, and then from there be able to blog in that SIG and continue that grassroots effort to stay connected. Social media is another new package that we're offering. We do a lot of it in everyday activities as far as supporting webinars that we introduce for HPE and eBlast. So we're constantly hitting the Twitters, the LinkedIns, all those kind of things, Facebook. And so we decided to put together a program for you. So if you have something that you're trying to get a message out to an event or an upcoming release, we have a 2-week social media blitz that we do for $900 to reach not only our community, but going into HPE's community efforts that we are part of to reach potential opportunities for you. This is one that I find very intriguing. I mean, don't you want to know what customers are thinking? I know I do. I want to know what makes them tick, what's relevant for them. And we've done a number of surveys for HP, and we're planning on doing one here shortly to kind of reach our customers or our members and find out, is Vivit relevant for you? What's your thoughts about the Micro Focus merger, acquisition, spin merge, whatever you want to call it? How does it affect you? So we're going to be putting together a bunch of questions that we think are relevant to our members to find out, what they're thinking, where they're going. And if you want to be part of that and want to sponsor part of that, we welcome the opportunity to do that. And again, we've grown. We try to do this at least once or twice a year, and we haven't done it in a while. So I'm just kind of curious to what people are thinking. Steph, have you got any other questions at this point?
Oh, let's see. Yeah, there's one. How long has the Vivit Engage program been in existence? How long have you been doing this?
Oh, great question. It's been about 5 to 6 years. At one time, we kept the way we kept Vivit afloat is by running the Discover, or what you might call the Discover conferences. It was called the OpenView Forum, and we used to run those conferences. And actually, they were a lot of fun because they were run by practitioners for practitioners, and HP and other partners sponsored it through being in the showcase area. And they were all over the country. I think we did it close to 10 years or so. I can't remember, from 93 to about 2008. I think 2008 was our last event in Miami. And then Mercury came along and already had a contract with Venetian for the next 20 years or whatever. So that became, HP took it over at that point. So we had to kind of reinvent ourselves and find ways to provide valuable services to the HPE marketing and partner community to support keeping the community alive, and this was the result of that. So probably, probably got started in discussion about 2008, but Stephanie, you and I have been doing it for at least 5 years, and I think it was actually started before. There was some activity prior to that, but seriously, it's been about 5 years. Good question. Okay. This kind of gives you an example of what a targeted regional e-blast is. So if you've got something to promote that's very local, in other words, there's a lot of customer forums out there or lug events, or you're part of, you're putting on, something in a hotel, we can reach the audience within the geographic region. So if it's in Dallas, maybe we hit everybody in Texas. There might be 300 to 500 people in that region. So we can target these e-blasts to support your events wherever they may be. And typically, they cost about $650 for the region. If it's all within the U.S., it's probably going to be around $1,500. But it's very targeted. And again, we can target, HP sometimes have asked us just target end users, no partners, or it may be just ADM type members versus the whole population, or they may be government employees only. Like for Canada, we support their government conference every year, and we're just marketing to our members that have a Gov extension up for their email, and that way they're not getting general public because it just wasn't relevant. Targeted SIG e-blast. So we probably got 19, 20 SIGs, if you can see them all on here, that we can reach a very targeted audience. So again, if you're focused in operations manager or operations management with your solution or your partner in that space and you want to share a case study, we can send this to probably 6,000 members within the ops bridge, or 4,000 or 5,000, whatever it may be in that particular SIG. So it's just a great way to reach an audience that's very targeted, provide some good ROI. Here's an example. Looks like we did an event with VIP and some lessons learned, discussing a customer success story. An open rate of, we sent it to about 7,000 people, 981 folks viewed the actual document, and 66 actually clicked back to the actual link. So, getting 66 people to take a look at what you're doing isn't a bad thing. So another thing that we've come up with in recently, because I know, it's just like you guys, I go to these conferences, and I'm also a lug leader in my area, and probably less than 1% of my members in my lug actually can go to a conference. They just don't have the budget or the time, or in some cases, it's been in Las Vegas for so long, companies don't want to send their employees to Las Vegas for thinking they're just got to go there and have a good time anyway. So we came up with this virtual summit sessions. So it's basically taking the best of whatever that conference was and providing, a day or 2 day or 3 day event where we've got 3 or 4 sessions a day, highlighting the key components or the key messages that came out of the conference. So at least you're getting up to date with the latest that comes out of the conference. So, every time there's a conference, it's like an auto show. They're bringing out the new functionality, the new cars, the new features. Well, that's what they build up at these conferences as well. What the new update's going to look like, kick the tires. So we did this for the Post. We did it for the London conference, the Discover conference in London, which was in December. And I think we great way to share your message with the whole audience that couldn't attend the conference. And here's some feedback from the post-Discover London Summit that we did in January, in January, at the end of January. And again, there was 9 webinars. We reached between the recorded session and the attendance, close to 4,000 hits, if you will. Just a lot of fun to see all the people that came to the event. And I think actually real registration was around 600 people for the actual sessions, and I think we netted 300 or 400 people that actually attended the sessions. But then we hit them hard with the recorded message, and again, you see the almost 4,000 number here of reaching them through our newsletters, e-blasts, and SoMe message. So it all works. SoMe works. Our social media methods work. We have the recorded session, so very successful way of reaching an audience. And as you know, as HPE software has split out from enterprise, they're putting on smaller conferences, which for me as a software person, I love it. Reminds me of the OpenView Forum days where it was all software. You were with your colleagues that were all focused in software. We were inundated with 8,000 to 10,000 people there to look at all the hardware solutions. So we were a pretty tight-knit group, and I think you're going to start seeing that again with the ITOM Summit coming up in May, and some of the other conferences that they're planning as well that are really smaller venues, smaller events, but very targeted to your careers as partners and our members. So I'm excited about that, to be honest with you. Vivit webinars. This has probably been our most successful component to help our partners grow their business. They're not cheap, but the marketing that goes in beforehand, the prep work to generate and prepare you to do a webinar, the recorded session after has been very successful for our partners. They just love the ability to reach our audience and to share their updates. And the key thing that, you might have, I'm not sure if we had it in one of the earlier slides, but 50% of our members are decision makers and 50% are practitioners. We have a lot of members that have been doing this for a long time. They started out as practitioners and have grown up into executives and decision makers within their organizations just through the longevity of their career. So it's just a beautiful thing to see, and it's just a great way to focus directly on what you're trying to do to reach your audience. Here's an example of participation. It's probably small on your screen like it is on mine, but you can take a look at the presentation of over a period of time, the webinars that we've had and the ones that were very successful. Just a great way to reach the audience. Okay, trying to get the screen to move. There we go. And we've come up with a new platform to do our webinars. It's called My Webinar Place. And Stephanie, why don't you kind of go through and kind of talk about that a little bit for us?
Absolutely. Thanks, Rocky. And in talking about webinars, too, a nice feature, too, of doing the sponsored webinars before I dive into the platform is that what's created is a downloadable recordings, not only that we place on the Vivit website and all our different channels, but also for you as the sponsor to use in any efforts that you choose to use it to promote your offering and service. So I wanted to point that out because I think that's really important. You can even do sound bites from it, so as a lot of people do. So I think that's pretty exciting. So, and what we're using today is called the My Webinar Place webinar platform, which is a new platform we're using. It is more robust, and it is called My Webinar Place. And we're using the My Webinar Place platform due to its many key features, as you all are experiencing today. We don't have a handout, but you can download handouts such as white papers, brochures, things like that. We can even push out links for the audience, too. There's the ability to also capture questions during the live webinar. And also, we can capture questions when people watch the on-demand version for up to a year. So that's a really neat feature, too. And another key feature, too, is seamless registration. So hopefully when registering for the webinar, you noticed it was log into the Vivit website, register, and I'm done. So it was auto-populated fields. So that's another key feature that we liked. Also, what's important that we found is the ability to pre-record demos and speakers, especially for the different time zones in the world and different people's schedules. So, and sometimes demos don't always go according to plan when they're live, which we've experienced. So being able to record them and play them is wonderful. And then with the speakers being in different time zones, that's always a nice feature. And then we can always follow up with live Q&A or do the whole thing live. So having that flexibility is wonderful too. And then as hopefully you all noticed today, the waiting room has some great key features of music, which you all heard today. We can also play a video. So, and that's always nice for promotion purposes. So, and then in Richard's opening today, he was pointing out that in the housekeeping, the language translation option for questions from audience to the presenters, and everybody can pick whichever language they want, and it's translated, which is a nice key feature, especially this being a global organization, and you all are global, as I know too. So, and then lastly, the most important key feature is the reporting functionalities. They're much improved. So not only do we have reporting for registrations and attendance, we have reporting for the questions coming in from the audience, who downloads what handout, links, different things like that, and for the polls and for the survey questions. And the survey comes up after the webinar, which you'll see today. And last but not least, the last key feature to highlight is My Webinar Place has 57 different country dial-in numbers for the speakers and for the audience. There's also a voice over IP option as well. So that's always important in bringing people together. So, and with that, I'll turn it back over to Rocky to feature the newest 3 Engage offerings we have.
Sure, thanks, Steph. And one of the things I want to mention, all these services that we've been talking about today, they're all 4-fee type services. And there are other ways to engage Vivit, and something that I did a long time ago due to the request of my customers in the area, and that's becoming a lug leader. Our goal in Vivit is for every product that HPE software offers to the community, that we have a lug leader in every region supporting that component. It's really hard to do, finding volunteers, but I find that as a partner, it was great for me in the OpenView era to know what customers were doing in my community, what they were experiencing, and if there was something that we could add value to support them, it was a win-win. It was a subliminal approach to marketing, if you will, because you're there trying to help the community. You're helping everyone. And, it started out, I was helping a lot of my customers, bringing them together because they wanted to hear from other customers. And if you're a partner, you should be doing this at least in your home base, in your hometown, either coordinating events, and Vivit can help you with that. We've got the platform to help you create events, keep track of the members in your community, and keep a dialogue going with them as well. Planning events where customers speak, talk about their implementations, the good, the bad, the ugly, no matter what it is. And there's no charge other than the time it takes to coordinate these events. So take advantage of that opportunity. Reach out to us to do that. So we'll go from there. But we've got a few minutes left, and I think we've just got a few more services. But I would like, if there's any questions at this time, I'd like to take some questions and see if there's anything we can address before we go any further, because the rest of it they can see for themselves. But
yeah. So one question that came in, Rocky, is it possible to bundle Engage services and purchasing them?
Absolutely. I mean, we do this all the time where we'll take, whether it's a webinar, an e-blast, newsletter article, we put a bundle together to make it a little more cost effective. But so absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. And then there's a question from John Keys. How are the webinars syndicated to Bright Talk? And I can take that one if you like.
Yes, I would like you to.
Okay. So John, what happens is we have 2 Vivit Bright Talk channels, and we upload the recordings there, and then we have a liaison at Bright Talk who syndicates the webinar to the different appropriate channels within Bright Talk itself. And everybody on both sides has to approve those. And I do know that one HPE does have the webinar syndicated to their channel from the Vivit Bright Talk channels. And we work closely with Marielle and Eberhard with that. So hopefully that answers your question there.
Great.
So, okay, I'm looking through the questions here. Let's see, how do I pay you for Engage services?
If you're with HPE, we have a special PO set up through Raquel Winkler, who coordinates that with John Jeremiah, who's our liaison for Vivit through HPE. So if you're an HPE, marketing component, it's all internal. You don't have to create a new purchase order for Vivit. And for partners, it's direct through Vivit. So you would just contact me and we could work out the details. We provide an agreement you sign to confirm the date and time of the event or service, and then we invoice you from there.
Great, great. Okay, the next question is what is the most popular service you sell for the Engage program?
I would think that based on 2016, webinars came in first, e-blast, global e-blast came in second. We had a number of targeted e-blasts that we did for physical events and SIG type things, but I would say that the webinar was probably the most popular and the most effective at reaching a targeted audience with the best ROI.
Great, great, thank you. And then how can I reach customers in my area?
Boy, again, that whole targeted ability that we have with our database to slice and dice based on geography, based on products used, based on profile, whether they're practitioners, whether they're management or executives. That's probably, we can slice and dice it in many ways. And again, the other thing is, as I mentioned, if you're a lug leader or know the lug leader in your area, work with them to put together an event featuring a case study that you may have or an update. Be part of the community. Be part of making this relationship to the next step. I see this the same as, organizations like Toastmasters or, the various organizations within a business community where they get together and share best practices. We provide that for you in the HP software community.
Great. And another new ask that we've had recently was, can you target your newsletter? And we can. They wanted just a key feature article just to, I think it was like 8 or 10 different countries, in addition to all the rest of the newsletter content. So that's another way to target and get the word out to customers in specific areas as well. Yeah,
and also our special interest groups. So it doesn't get any more targeted than that, at least from a product perspective. So if your focus is ITSM, you want to be part of the ITSM special interest group and provide, presentations there. If you work with the SIG leaders to bring content, there's probably no charge for that. But if we're doing it through the Vivit Engage program, there's a charge, but there might be some lead generation activity as well. So take advantage of that. Great.
All right, we're switching over to the Vivit local user groups and special interest group questions. We'll take a couple more questions here. So I'm going to combine 2 questions in one. How can I get engaged in physical events, and is there a local user group in my area? How do I find out?
Yeah, so, we can connect you with Terry, who handles the Americas, or Anne-Marie that handles EMEA and APJ to find out who the leaders are. But you can go to our website and look under lugs and special interest groups to find out where they're at. And we should have the names of the leaders there. There may not be an actual email connection, but we can help you with that and find out what we have. So we have 80 some chapters around the world, 19 special interest groups, but some of these chapters support multiple areas of within HP's ecosystem, whether it's ITOM or ADM. Those are our two main areas, but we have some areas that support security or big data. And again, we're always looking for partners to help grow those communities in their region in that focus. So we can help.
Great. Thanks, Rocky. And the last question is, how can I become a local user group or special interest group leader at Vivit?
I love that question. And we can connect them with Terry or Anne-Marie to get them set up to become, there's no charge for any of this. For becoming, we appreciate the volunteer effort. We teach you how to become a lug leader. We prepare you to create events. And it's a win-win. I've been doing it a long time and enjoy people at the end of the event saying, thank you for bringing us together so that we can kind of learn from each other. And I think it's, as a partner, there's no better altruistic thing you could do to help the community.
Great. Thanks, Rocky. So just in closing, I just wanted to thank everyone for coming today. We really appreciate your time. And Rocky and I look forward to working with each and every one of you. And you will receive a follow-up email from us. And then we'll definitely love to work with you, or if you have any questions, meet with you, or we can do it via email as well. And then there's a survey that Terry will launch here. Here it is. And we'd love to hear your feedback and get back in touch with you. So thanks again, Rocky. Thanks again, Richard.
No
yeah, it was a great presentation. And again, thank you everybody for joining today. And have a good rest of your day, evening, or morning, wherever you are. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Stephanie. Take care.